Hey guys, Ronnie Calhoun here. You're watching Miss Lou Champion Spotlight with special guest John Grady Burns. Let's go! We're here tonight with a true Natchez icon, Noah. And we've got Mr. John Grady Burns with us also. Noah's sidekick, Mr. John Grady Burns. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
That's good.
How you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you had a long commute over, didn't you?
I sure did. One whole block.
Block and a half.
Yes,
block,
that's the nice thing about Natchez. Nothing's more than a block or 5 minutes away.
That's right. That's right. So, so many of you guys know John Grady, but for the ones who don't, I always like to give the guest a quick introduction. So, he's a designer, floral, home, gardens, and even some overseas manufacturers. He's the owner of Hal Gardner at Nest on Franklin Street. Entrepreneur, obviously, president and a founding member of Y'all Means All Natchez, college professor in the past life, national speaker, and an author.
Yep.
A lot going on. So he's created floral designs for the Atlanta Symphony, the Atlanta Ballet, country music star Wynonna Judd, the Blair House, which is a presidential guest house, governor's mansions, embassies, and the White House.
That's right.
That's pretty amazing. I'm reading about you, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be nervous interviewing this guy.
Oh, please.
But let's dive in and let's start with the beginning, like growing up in Natchez. So you just have a very small family here, right?
Yeah, just 7 siblings.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your upbringing here.
Well, there's never a dull moment in our house, that's for sure. It was great. Fortunately, I had loving parents. We, brothers and sisters, all got along reasonably well. I mean, your basic little spats and disagreements, but all in all, we really love each other. We're very fortunate.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. It was it's amazing to think that we're all 8 still alive, and the baby will be 60 next year. So I think that's pretty amazing. And
so how many brothers and how many sisters?
So there's 5 boys and 3 girls.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm number 6. There were 2 girls, 2 boys, a girl, and 3 boys. So poor Melanie was raised between 5 brothers. So she could fend for herself.
That's why she's so tough. That's
right. She could fend for herself.
That explains.
But the 2 older ones were the babysitters, so it worked out pretty good.
So you went to Cathedral, is that correct?
I did. Okay. I did all the way K through 12.
Okay. And then, so after you left Cathedral, where did life take you after high school?
Well, first college was Mississippi State. and I graduated from State, but also went to Colin, also went to Hattiesburg, also went to LSU. So, I did the tour. 7.5-year plan to graduate. And it worked.
That's all right. That's all right. So you graduated from
Mississippi State.
From Mississippi State University.
Yeah, okay. I did.
Okay, good.
Degree is in horticulture and retail floral management.
Okay, good. So, whenever you left Mississippi State, where did the world take you to?
It took me to Memphis first. I worked there in the wholesale florist for about 3.5 years, and then had the opportunity to go to Atlanta, and so I did. It was, and it was a good thing. I'm always trying to go the path that is of the least resistance, and Atlanta was a fabulous move for me. I had no idea what was all going to be in my future.
What took you to Atlanta? Was there a certain opportunity? Or?
It was, and I always believe in fate. So it's kind of accidental. A friend of mine had been trying to get me to move to Atlanta to work for him. Okay. And I kept saying, I can't move to Atlanta. It's just too big of a city. I'm from a little small town in Mississippi, and I just can't do that. And he kept begging me, and I kept saying, no, I can't. And he owned a wholesale florist in Atlanta. So a friend of mine wanted to move to Atlanta because her mother was just south of Atlanta. So I called her, gave her his information. He hired her. Well, then she asked me to help her move to Atlanta, so I took a 2-week vacation. And I helped her move to Atlanta. And we were actually at a restaurant one night, sitting at the bar waiting to be seated. And this gentleman was sitting next to me, and he and I got to talking. And he says, "Man," he said, "you're cool." He said, you need to work for me. And I said, "Well, what do you do?" He says, "On the wholesale floor." So I went, "You do?" He hired me.
Wow.
So I went back to Atlanta, gave him a 2-week notice. I moved back to Atlanta. So needless to say, my friend who was now a competitor, because I was hired by a different wholesale floors, was not happy with me.
My bad.
And my roommate worked
Yeah.
for him. So we were competitors, but roommates.
Oh, wow. Did you stay friends after that?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'd send each other customers all the time.
Okay, good. So it worked out. So,
Well, let's talk about the White House a little bit, because that's really cool to me. How did that come about?
Well, with everything I've done, I've been very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to have the talent that I have, because I didn't know that I had it. It was all accidental, and actually I attribute it to my professor at college for helping me find who I really am. But anyway, he also was the one who got me that job in D.C. There's a flower shop who would hire someone each holiday season, and he would recommend them, and obviously he recommended me that year, and I was the one who got to go to D.C. So I was able to do flowers for the White House. I was able to do flowers for dignitaries and embassies, and we went to, at that time, if I remember correctly, they were redoing the vice president's house, and the Bushes actually lived at the Blair House, the Naval Academy, really. And so we would go every morning and do flowers in the house. So I got to meet both George and Barbara. And she's the quintessential grandmother. And I knew Millie, their dog. It was pretty cool.
So you interacted with them.
Yes, they were very, very nice people.
Oh, goodness.
Very, very nice.
Wow, that's really cool. What year was that? Was that
82. I graduated in December of 82.
So how long were you there?
Actually, just a month. So I flew in right after Thanksgiving, and I flew out on Christmas Eve and came back home. So I was there for a month, but wow, the things I got to do in a month were amazing. And it was my first time to go to D.C., so I was pretty amazed by what all I got to see. And I would like to take this opportunity to tell a little story about Barbara Bush that I thought was pretty fabulous. Yeah. She asked me what I was going to bring my parents home from D.C., and I said, well, I don't know. They've been to D.C. They have books. They have this. They have that. She said, I've got a little something for you. And I said, you do? She said, yeah. When do you leave? And, so she gave me this little white box, and I opened it. And I know she saw the look on my face, was like, yeah. Well, it was a box of dried rose petals. And she said, well, they came from the White House. She said, I tend to the roses there a lot, and these are dried petals from the White House to give to your mother.
Wow, that's
I
really
thought
cool.
that was pretty special. The woman didn't have to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That she really went out of the way to make sure I brought something home that was very special to my
Wow, that's an awesome story. Yeah. Man, that's so do you have what about George Bush? What kind of a
I only got to talk to him briefly twice, but he, every morning he'd go out jogging. Then he would come through the downstairs. He'd always say good morning and speak, and Barbara introduced me the first day, and then the other time he just, he spoke. So I didn't really get to visit with him, but I did with her.
Yeah. Natchez boy in the White House.
That's right. Yeah. Kind of surprised me too.
That's pretty awesome right there.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break to recognize some of our partners who make this show possible.
From regular family checkups to sedation dentistry, orthodontics and cosmetic dentistry, experience dental care the way it was meant to be. Right around the corner from a name you can trust, Miss Lou Family Dentistry.
Come see us for all your handmade and fine jewelry needs here at 415 Main Street in Natchez, Mississippi. You can also find us on the web at riseandshinestudio.com. Always remember to smile big, shine bright, and enjoy the journey.
All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Mr. John Grady Burns. We talked a little bit about you growing up in Natchez, going through Memphis, spending some time in D.C. How many years in Atlanta?
30 years altogether.
30 years in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What I want to get at, and what I sort of want to get to now, is what led you back to Natchez?
I think in the back of my mind, I always knew I'd come back home. And Natchez is just a great little city. You know, it's the people are wonderful. The town's great. It's got a lot going on. And actually, I bought a house, been almost 16 years ago, knowing that I would come back at some point. Didn't know when or why, but I don't know. One morning I woke up in Atlanta. I said, you know, it was fun, and I'm done. And I came home.
It was traffic.
It was everything. You know, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But I was no longer enjoying the big city.
Yeah.
It was time to come home and slow down and be with my family and be with friends and take it easy, slow down.
What are some of your favorite memories about Atlanta? Looking back, what are some of those?
Gosh, there's always something to do in Atlanta, always. I guess the thing that I'll remember that Atlanta the most about is it was the most welcoming city when I first moved there. People, it was like coming to Natchez. They just wanted to meet you. They wanted to know who you are. They wanted to be your friend. They wanted to help you move forward with business. People were just so helpful. And I thought, wow, I made the right move. This is just a great place. And then all of these doors of opportunities opened for me that I don't know. Every day I would just wake up and say, wow, am I really living, or is this a dream? Things just really happened in Atlanta, and I'll always remember it as being a great place. Everything about it.
Were you with the same guy?
Well, when I first went there, it was called Dutch Flower Wholesale, and that was Johan. That was the man.
Were you with him the whole time? I guess.
I went with him first.
Okay.
And then there was another wholesale florist that was there, and it was kind of the bigger wholesale florist and the one that people used more frequently. And the guys who owned it were young, and they met me. I mean, it's, Flower World's a pretty small world, even though it's a big city. So they kept trying to get me to come to work for them. And I kept thinking, well, how can I take it to my advantage? Because I was doing weddings and things, on the weekends. And so I finally worked out a deal with them where I worked part-time, only half a day, because about 90% of your sales are done before noon in the wholesale floor. So I said, why don't I work till noon each day? And then I had the afternoon to work for myself. Well, of course, that only gave me more time to create more business. So then after I left Cut Flower Wholesale, then I went to work for myself. And I did that for several years, freelancing, doing weddings, parties, events, working with other designers, which is the great thing about Atlanta. They've got a lot of freelance designers. So there was a group of us, maybe 10 or 12 people, who all worked for ourselves. But when I had a wedding, I would call you and say, are you available that weekend? If you did not have a wedding, you'd come work for me, and vice versa. I'd work for them. So we were all very supportive of each other, But anyway, business grew, and then at some point I decided I need to open a flower shop. So I did. I opened a flower shop, and I had it for 5 years. And when those 5 years were up, I was very happy to leave it and go back to freelancing. And then, from there, gosh, all these doors opened. I started working at the Gift Mart doing displays. And then I started a business, and I imported. And then I started a business where I manufactured in Atlanta. And then other companies liked my displays, and they hired me to go to other countries with them to help them design product lines. Just all these things. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Atlanta was wonderful. It opened so many doors and so many windows for me. And I think when I left, I knew there was more out there somewhere, and I said, I need to go find it. And I think after I found it, I was ready to come back home.
And the books you've written, the national speaking and all of that, was that all started in Atlanta?
It did. Garden Clubs of America.
Okay.
Would need speakers, and so to get on their list it's kind of a coveted thing. And so I started working on it. I found out what all I needed to do, and you had to give so many talks to so many clubs, and so many people had to write in letters for you. So I put myself, I said, I'm going to make this happen. So I got on that list, and I've probably spoken all over the Southeast, every state at some point in time. And then, of course, the books came about. The first book I did by myself, which was called Personally Yours, Flowers for Weddings, Parties, and Events. And a friend of mine who's a designer said, let's do a book together. So she and I got together, and then we pulled in her sister, and then we did the same photographer that I had, and then the four of us, actually 3 of us, did the financial part. Bart was the photographer for all of them. then the three of us did the next 3 books together. And I'm very proud of all of them. They have all been very successful coffee table books.
That's really cool, man. You've done some stuff.
Those were really fun. I really enjoyed the books. I learned a lot, and it was a great experience.
When I asked you to come on the show, I knew a lot about you already, and that's why I asked you to come on the show. But then the more I started digging in, I was like, oh, my goodness, I haven't even scratched the surface yet. That's
As
really.
I said, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I'm
though.
grateful.
So let's talk about Natchez now, and sort of how many years ago did you come back to
I've
Natchez?
been back about 5 years now.
Okay, so compared to when you came back to where Natchez is today, what do you see differently? Or
overall, nothing has changed. People are the same, the city's the same, energy's the same, and I love that I just came right back to where I left. I think recently the energy has gotten much higher. Things are really happening for Natchez, and I'm very happy because it's well deserved, and a lot of people are in investing and in, making things happen here. It's just it's just a beautiful town. There's so much history, it's so much architecture. I'm happy to be able to be back home.
it is. It's such a. I mean, I came back about the same time you did. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a great energy here. It really is. So we're going to take a quick commercial break to recognize some of our partners who make this show possible.
Welcome to your new hospital, Trinity Medical. Located in Faraday, Trinity Medical is the only acute care facility in the Tri-Parish area. Here, you'll find an active pursuit of holistic health, a strong, honest group of clinicians, and a consciousness of others that transcends the 80,000 square feet committed to you and your loved ones. Trinity Medical. People you know, caring for people you love.
Tell me a little bit about Y'all Means All. Tell me a little bit about what it is.
Y'all Means All Natchez came about. It was probably a good 6-month conversations and plans and evolving. But a young gentleman here in town had committed suicide. I think he was 25 at the time, maybe 27. And he was an acquaintance. He wasn't a good friend, but several of us knew him, and he was just the nicest guy, and everybody loved him, and he always had a kind word to say and a smile on his face, and we were just like, wow, it's just so sad that he took his life. And there were, a lot of these were new people who had moved here. So we all said, what could we do? And at the same time, nationally, people who were well-known people were committing suicide. And we thought, why don't we come up with something to raise funds for suicide for people who can't afford it, because there's so many who can't. So at first we kind of thought we were going to raise funds for the gay youth, and then we evolved and said, no, it's a bigger picture. Too many people are suffering from this. And so anyway, eventually we came up with Y'all Means All Natchez, because we want to include everyone. It's not just for gay people, although they're 4 to 5 times more likely to commit suicide. And all 18 to 25-year-olds, 50% of the deaths are suicide. So that's why we focused on the youth at first, and then the gay, and then we moved it on and said, no, it should be for anyone. So Y'all Means All includes everyone.
You have an event coming up.
We do, in October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Okay. Our very first year, we raised $60,000 in this small town of 16,000 people.
Wow.
I remember Nina West, who's a drag queen from RuPaul, was our first year of the big headliner. We counting the tips in the dressing room afterwards, and she whipped around and said, "Did you just say a figure?" And we said, "Yeah." She said, "I was in Phoenix last week and only brought in half of that." Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
And Natchez gave 2 times the amount of tips.
Yeah.
She was floored. She could not believe it. So anyway, what a lot of people don't realize is in the gay community, drag queens have always been the fundraisers. They have always been the ones who helped for any and every cause that was needed. And I can't tell you what they did during the AIDS crisis. Yeah. But they do programs and shows to make people laugh and have fun and not take themselves serious. Then they donate their tips to the cause. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, yes, it's a wonderful thing. And so we wanted to create unity in the community through diversity. And so we thought, well, we just happen to all be gay. Let's own up to it. So we're the first LGBT plus group in Natchez. And I think Natchez has supported us. The fact that we raised $60,000 the first year says it right there. Yeah, our garage sale each spring is most successful. And again, everything's donated.
Look, whenever I first saw the sign, I had to look twice. I was like, there's a garage, there's a garage. I was like, what?
I know somebody sent me a text and said, what's a gay rage?
But go ahead.
Gay rage. No, that's fine. That's fine. But, everything's donated. Somebody will always donate a building. They pay the utilities. All the products that we sell are donated. So it's a big fundraiser for us. But the big event's coming up, and if
somebody wants to find out more about your event,
y'allmeansallnatchez.org.
Okay.
And you can buy tickets to any of the events. You can make donations. If anybody would like to sponsor us in any way, shape, or form, at the moment we would love to have somebody sponsor us for a larger storage locker for the garage sale. Okay. That would be fabulous.
There you
go. Listen up.
There it is.
Listen up radio. You might hear about it on there.
That's right. So let's jump back really quick. What's the most nervous you've ever been with doing a job? We talked about the White House and all that. What's the most nervous you've ever been?
Ooh, that's interesting because
I
guess
just the butterflies overwhelming you, or have you always been a cool cat?
No. I mean, I definitely have nervous times. I'm just trying to think because there's so many. I mean, many times I've been nervous before I do something. I guess one of the things that because I give a lot of talks to garden clubs, and sometimes you do get a little nervous because you suppose something doesn't go right, suppose something happens. But what I love when I can feel relaxed is when they start asking questions, because I always start that program with, I may not know everything, but I'll share with you what I do know. So please ask questions. And sometimes people will, sometimes they won't. But when they do, it lightens everything up. Because that gets me rolling then. Because I love sharing knowledge. I don't know everything. Yeah. And if I don't, I'll make up a good lie.
Well, they say, this all saying, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's right.
Oh, goodness. Well, we're going to take one more quick break to recognize our partners who make this possible. And we'll be back with the speed round. So we'll see y'all after the break. Hey guys, Ronnie Calhoun here. We just wanted to take a moment to recognize our awesome partners who make this show possible. Trinity Medical Center in Faraday. Miss Lou Family Dentistry in Natchez and Faraday. Sabrina Dore Agency, Vidalia. Hampton Inn and Suites, Natchez. Hicks Chicks in Natchez. Go Mart and On The Go Deli in Natchez. Rise and Shine Studio in Natchez. Concordia Bank and Trust, member FDIC, located throughout the Miss Lou. All right, we are back with my personal favorite segment of the show called The Speed Round. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Look, I got some pretty good ones on here for you. I might put you on the spot a little bit. So, are you ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. Favorite meal in Natchez?
My favorite meal is a damn good steak. And right now, I think the best one in town is at Biscuit and Blues.
Okay. I told you I was going to put you on the spot already. Right. Okay, if you could pick one home on the pilgrimage tour to live in, which home would you choose?
To live in? And only the ones that are on tour?
We can go off base.
Okay, the ones that are on tour are Stanton Hall. I love the grand scale of it, and of course my Irish heritage, so yeah.
Of all of your siblings, Which one is the most likely to be on a reality show?
David.
David?
Yeah, and nobody knows him. He's a little coon-ass down in South Louisiana. Talks like that, you know.
So what show would it be?
It'd be something coon-ass, for sure.
It's like a survival?
Yeah, Survivor of Ida.
Okay. So, is he one of those guys that can just survive anything?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
What is your favorite city to visit?
Does it have to be in the United States or out of the United States? Anywhere. My favorite city I've never visited is Venice. That's where I want to go. But I loved Ireland and just the countryside, actually, not a city, countryside.
Okay. What about in the States? What's your favorite city?
San Francisco's always fun.
Okay. So you kind of gave us a little bit. So the next one is that, you've done so much. What is something on your bucket list? Let's jump to something besides what you just answered.
Besides Venice?
Besides
Venice. Then Greece.
Greece? Visiting Greece?
Yeah.
Okay. Your most influential teacher
that you've had from...
There's two.
All the way.
There's two, and they're both college.
Okay.
One of them is Lester Estes, and the other one was Ralph Knoll.
Okay. And they were...
One was a plant materials teacher, and Ralph was my floral design teacher.
Yeah, good.
And then I saved the last one. This is going to be a tough one for you. But favorite local interview host with a brand new show?
Wow. Didn't Noah have something on the books? Didn't Noah have something on the books, I think?
Hey, look, if he says the wrong answer, we'll cut it.
I think it would have to be you.
Hey, look, I appreciate you coming and spending a little bit of time
Thank
with
you
us.
for having me here. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope the listeners were able to learn a little bit behind the scenes with John Grady. I want to thank you. I want to say thank you to all of our partners who make this show possible. I want to say thank you to Noah, John Grady. I want to thank you to all the viewers. God bless, and as always, have a champion day.